Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, and today I have a what might be slightly triggering video, so stick with me on this one. But I feel like, especially with what's going on in the world right now, and if you're someone who's waking up and saying that you really want to see a new world and you really want to see things change and you really want to be the change you wish to see, this is going to be a very important subject for you to consider and ponder, and I want to open the floor for us to all go through this journey together, okay? So essentially what I'm going to be talking about today is why judgment, so why labeling things as right and wrong is the absolute worst problem solver we have on the planet, and yet we all employ it on a daily basis, and it is part of the reason why we are not making the progress towards a more harmonious and peaceful society like we could be, okay? So this concept of judgment, obviously, if you've been listening to any spiritual teachers, you've read any spiritual books, like this idea that we should not be judging has essentially been beaten to death by every religion, every spiritual thing, every consciousness expanding teacher concept idea. We all talk about this idea that judgment is not helpful, okay? Now, the problem is, and I know that you're going to be like, you're making a judgment, and it's like, okay, just hear me out. We'll unpack this idea as we go along, all right? But essentially, like I said, everyone comes to this idea and this kind of final resting point that judgment is bad and we shouldn't be judging. So yes, in and of itself, to say that judgment is bad is a judgment on judgment. But now, we need to learn, first and foremost, what the difference is between judgment and discernment, okay? So judgment is saying this thing is right or wrong. It is putting it in a box and labeling it as though we understand it as being bad or good, right or wrong, yes or no, right? And then we hold to that and apply it to everything. That's pretty much what a judgment is. So I'm gonna, this might be the part that's a little bit triggering, so again, just stick with me. For instance, to say that sexual abuse is wrong is a judgment, okay? To say that Hitler should not have done what he did is a judgment. To say that mental illness is wrong and shouldn't be happening is a judgment. To say that physical illness is wrong and bad and shouldn't be happening is a judgment. And we have a lot of things in our society that we judge as wrong and bad and should not be happening, all right? Now, this is not to say that these things are actually good and they should be happening. So remember, when we're in judgment, we're in duality consciousness, right? It is either right or it is wrong. So if someone says it's not wrong to sexually abuse someone, everyone's going to jump to like, so then you're saying it's right and we should be sexually abusing everyone and it's totally fine? No, okay? This is where we start to see it's not about being on either side of this coin, all right? Judgment is blocking us from growth. Judgment is exactly the thing that's blocking us from taking that beautiful middle way that, everyone talks about, that the Buddha talks about, where we can actually have understanding and then move on in our consciousness, okay? So that's judgment. Judgment is right or wrong, left or right, up and down, black and white, right? Discernment, on the other hand, is the capacity to learn from a situation or a thing and develop wisdom based on that learning. Okay, so you see how that's different. Now, for instance, if we look at someone who is sexually abusing someone else, right? And we say that's wrong, they shouldn't be doing that. What are we going to do? We're going to put them in therapy, or we're going to put them in jail, or we're going to do all these things to them. And we can pretty much see in society that this kind of punishment of wrong behavior, imprisoning people, incarcerating people, putting them in cages, trying to separate them out from society, is not making these things go away. It's actually inflaming the situation, right? We're starting to see that in countries that have different ways of dealing with their criminals, that right? They're criminals, that when they rehab them or try and introduce them back into society, when they give them jobs, when they give them hope, when they give them friends, when they give them all these things, we remember the whole rat park situation, when they give drug addicts, you know, a reason to live and a community and something to be a part of, they tend to recover and become functional members of society who are not harming other people. Versus in the United States and Canada, where we just throw them in jail, the rate of reoffense is huge. It's not working. Okay, so what is the thing that's not working about this? And I'm going to propose that the thing that's not working about this is the fact that we judge it as wrong. Because as soon as we judge it as wrong, we cannot understand it anymore. And when we cannot understand something, okay, when we have shut ourselves down to receiving all the information that is trying to be presented to us through something, through a circumstance, through the way that someone is behaving, through the way that our society is unfolding, when we don't take in all the information, we cannot make a change, okay? We cannot make a change when we are in judgment. And this works absolutely from the very most micro level, like when you are judging yourself, that something is wrong or bad about you or the way that you're doing something or the way that you're living, you block yourself from fully understanding why you're doing what you're doing, what the cause is, what would be required to make a shift, and therefore you are stuck in your shit. Okay? And like I say, we see this on the global scale. All these things that we judge as being wrong and bad happen. We're not getting rid of them by saying they're bad. And this is what we need to understand. We are not being noble by being judgmental. And it is not a high place to sit there and say, yeah, people who sexually abuse children are bad or wrong or messed up, or all of these judgments that we place on them. That's not helping, okay? And we need to be big enough people to understand that these kinds of judgments are not helping. And it can feel safe, and it can make us feel like we're good, and we're moral people, and we're all of these like things that we are afraid that we are not, when we compare ourselves to someone that we feel we have the right to judge. They are really doing something horrible, and this actually makes me feel better about myself and the person that I am, right? We can get caught in that loop, but we have to become bigger people who are not doing that anymore, right? So the first step in this is we need to learn how to stop judging ourselves. Everything that you do has a cause. You are not a bad person inherently, or an incapable person inherently, or have something wrong with you inherently, all right? The things that you deem wrong and bad about yourself are either parts of yourself, your personality, the way, the individual expression that you are here to be on this planet that have been suppressed and denied for so long they're coming out of shadow, right? Or they are the parts of you that are actually wonderful and beautiful just exactly how they are, but other people find that it makes them uncomfortable because it doesn't fit into the matrix of the network of like society that we think that we have right now, right? So you're either you've rejected it and it's become shadow, or everyone else is rejecting it because they don't understand it because it doesn't fit into the context of the homogenous society we're trying to create all the time, right? And so neither of those two things are you are fundamentally flawed, all right? And then again, some people might say, yeah, but what about sociopaths? Like they're literally born, like they literally have something wrong with their brain. Okay, again, we need to take a step back and understand that judging these people is not helping us create less of them as a society, okay? This is the problem. We are not seeing that we are part of the cause, all right? And that judgment is part of the cause, all right? You're gonna pretty much invariably find that with sociopaths and children that are people that grow up to literally be, you know, that kind of mentally unstable, you're going to look at their childhood and you're going to see they were abused. They were very much mentally, physically treated terribly, and it was a coping mechanism, right? Their brain absolutely did change, probably chemically and all of these things due to the stress of that abuse. They weren't born that way, all right? And so what we need to understand is that everything in our society that we judge as being wrong and bad is a reflection of something that's going on within the consciousness of the collective that needs to be looked at. We cannot graduate to a new way of being until we learn the lessons that are being presented to us right now. And that's what this is. As soon as we judge, we shut ourselves down from learning the lesson, and therefore we have to repeat it over and over and over and over and over again. So again, what I'm saying is we don't sit here and say sexual abuse is wrong and bad, because that blocks us from being able to understand it. At the same time, we don't sit here and say it's good and it's fine and we should just let it run. No, we want to understand. We want to say, okay, there is obviously something here in the general consciousness of society and how we handle this that is lacking in information. Because if we had all the information, we can create a change, an actual positive change where these things stop happening. And like I said, you will first experience this on the individual level. When you start to love the parts of yourself that you usually judge, okay? You start to say, okay, I'm doing this self-destructive behavior. I'm not going to beat myself up for it. I'm not going to hate myself for it. I'm not going to punish myself. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I'm going to be conscious and aware and with myself while I do this. You will learn so much about yourself. You will learn so much about why you do that behavior. You will learn so much about the emotions and all of the things that are behind it, that when you get that information, you will be able to actually heal and integrate and move to a new place where you don't need the self-destructive behavior anymore. If you keep beating yourself up for your self-destructive behavior, if you keep trying to get rid of it, if you keep doing this, or if you just wallow in it, you will be stuck in it because you don't have the information that you need. Everyone thinks, I know why I overeat. No, you don't. Because if you really did, you wouldn't do it anymore. That is the thing. This is the truth. When you fully understand a self-destructive behavior, you have no more desire to do it. You have new tools and new skills and new things in your toolbox through that journey of discovery that enable you not to have to do that anymore. And I can tell you this from personal experience, right? I tried the self-help route for so long. I tried to fix everything about myself, and it never worked until I stopped trying to fix myself and just started to try to understand myself. Now I don't put in any effort to live a life that feels good for me and that nourishes me and that keeps me healthy and all of these things. It's not a big, effortful thing. Again, because I got to a place where I actually understood what I was doing, why I was doing it, and how to make a change. Because when you don't have all the information about why something is happening, you can't make a change that is actually going to be effective. And we see this again on the micro and on the macro. If you are stuck in your self-destructive behaviors, you don't have enough information to make a change. You keep trying to make a change thinking that this is the answer, and it doesn't work because you don't have all the information. That's why. Same thing with these horrible things that we see in the world. People are absolutely destroying each other. They're destroying our earth. Like, we watch giant corporations rape the earth and kill people who are trying to save the earth. And we watch, you know, like I say, the whole, there are genocides going on all over the world, and we watch in horror as these things happen. And there's terrible things that are done to women and children, and this world is not like a safe place in a lot of ways, right? And we look in horror at these things and we judge them, and that's what's keeping us stuck in it. The judgment stops us from being able to understand. When we step into a place of humility, I'm not going to compare myself to this person and make myself feel better, right? Make myself feel better. Check yourself. When you're judging someone, why are you doing it? You're not doing it for any productive reason, okay? You're doing it because there's something inside of you that doesn't feel quite secure. And you need the contrast of someone else being totally terrible to make you feel a little bit better about yourself. That's the only reason we judge. We judge to protect ourselves, right? We judge to say, you are separate from me. I am different from you. I don't like your behavior because it's reflecting something that either I have decided is wrong and bad in the world, or that I have inside myself that I have decided is wrong and bad, one of these two things. And by judging you, it makes me feel like I'm separated out from it. That's why we judge. And it doesn't work. Creating more separation, creating less understanding, creating more gaps between people and less bridges creates the chaos that we live in right now. Unity is the only way we're going to save this. Unity is the only way we're going to make a change. We have to start uniting with the people that we judge the most. We have to do the inner work that says, okay, I want to judge this person. Why? That's my thing. That's not them. It's not on them. It's not on the rapist. It's not on Hitler. It's not on the genocide dude. I have to do the work first. Okay? Why am I judging? Why am I judging? Why am I judging? So again, the beginning is not to judge yourself for judging, right? But don't let yourself wallow in the judgment either. Let it be something that is bringing to your consciousness a place where you have a block. You have less information than you need, right? You start to do that within yourself, you will start to see massive changes in your life, okay? When you stop judging yourself and you start taking accountability for all the judgments that you've placed on other people, you're going to find it's just wounds. It's just wounds inside yourself that make you judge. And so you heal those wounds, you love those wounds, you love yourself. And then you start to be able to look at these horrible people as not horrible people, because they're not horrible people. There is no such thing as a horrible person. We are learning from every single person's experience. Now, we are learning through contrast right now. So again, if we actually want to move to a world where we can be in bliss and we don't have to learn so much from contrast and we can have a more harmonious society, we have to face, deeply face, with discernment, the discord that's happening. And judgment is not going to get us there, okay? We don't understand it. If we understood it, we actually would be able to eradicate it. That's what we need to understand. When we understand something fully, it is easy to move on to something better. So because we are not at that place where it's easy to move on to something better, we are still wrapped up in judgment that keeps us in black and white thinking, that keeps us separated from each other. We're not learning the lesson, and so we have to repeat it over and over, okay? We're not going to get to go from grade 1 to grade 2 until we learn the lessons of grade 1. But if we keep saying everything that's happening in grade 1 is wrong, and I'm going to wait till grade 2 starts happening until I start to participate, or until I love it, or until I stop judging it, you're never going to get to grade 2. That's the bottom line, okay? Judgment keeps you stuck. Judgment keeps you stuck. Judgment keeps you stuck. It doesn't keep you safe. It doesn't keep you separated and good from all those terrible, awful people. Nothing like that, okay? We need to start embracing everybody. We need to start embracing ourselves, and we need to start embracing everyone and their expression and say, I want to understand, because it's arising for a reason. If we didn't need it, if we didn't need to learn from it, if there wasn't something in the collective that was causing these horrible atrocities to arise, they wouldn't be happening, okay? So we all need to take responsibility, and that's the other thing. Everyone has to take responsibility. Not to say that you take responsibility for what another person is doing. You take responsibility for your own judgment. You take responsibility for your own capacity to love what you see. Because again, that's the radical shift that's going to create the world that we want to live in, where we all take responsibility for being that love, right? That love that transforms. Fear isn't going to help us. Fear is never going to help us. Fear never has helped us. This is the main blaring message that we're getting here. Fear begets fear, begets fear, begets fear. It creates chaos. So we have to stop. Okay, so we're used to judging. It seems like the right thing to do, but it isn't. We're never going to get to where we need to go with it. So love is the key. Love is the key. Discernment is the key. You don't let someone do something terrible to you, but you learn to understand why they're doing it. Okay? You become open to the wisdom. And that doesn't even mean that you stay in a situation with a person who's abusing you or anything like this. It just means that you don't judge it as wrong. You say, okay, I want to understand this. I might have to remove myself from it, but I still want to understand it. You see? If it's arising and you're judging, you need to question that, because it's not going to work. It's never worked. This judgment system doesn't work. We need discernment, which starts with I want to understand. Okay? So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave those down below. Thank you for watching this whole video. I know it's kind of a hard thing to talk about and to hear, but, right, I'm doing it too. So yeah, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, share them down below. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Find us on Patreon. We meet 3 times a month, and that's really fun. And until then, I will see you in the next video, okay?